Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. As always, this is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank each and every one of you for choosing to fly over the friendly airwaves with us here at our state-of-the-art radio program, Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I want to go ahead and delve into the topic which I have slated to be the cornerstone for today's program, because I think it's an important one that'll have ramifications that are both long-lasting and far-reaching. The reason I say this is because it comes to the disagreements that exist right now between the left and the right when it comes to parental rights regarding their children. This is something that is of the utmost importance, and something that should be of the utmost importance to anyone in this country who has children or who is thinking about having children, because traditionally speaking, we have always viewed one of the sacrosanct rights that is possessed by parents in this country is to have the right to shape and basically secure the education and upbringing of their children, to raise them as they see fit. This was something that was never really viewed as the purview of the government. The government is ill-equipped to handle that and is not, by right or by designation or by the very design of our Federalist Republic, supposed to have a say in this. But gradually over time, they began to have more of a say. Sure, there is a right to education in which there should be the public education that they offered. That was just because they wanted well-rounded citizens. But that did not give school boards the ability to have carte blanche in raising children, that they were not afforded a full mantle of control. Yet that is not the way that the frothing at the mouth Fabian socialist leftists view it. And that's certainly not the way that the Loudon County School Board or School District views it there in Virginia. Loudon County is one of those counties that is heavily influenced by the progressive left and is going to war with Governor Youngkin over his first-day executive order, where he sat there and essentially gave parents the ability to choose whether or not they wanted their children to have to wear masks when going to school. Prior to that, under his predecessor, Terry McAuliffe, it was a mandatory thing. If the students were to enter into the school and were not to face trespassing, to be charged in a way with criminal charges, then they would have to wear the mask. It was essentially an edict. It was always an edict. And so that's where the point of contention rises. And it is really starting to get even worse than it had been previously, because it has come to the surface that there was an email from a safety and security officer with the Loudon County School District that gave principals throughout the entire county step-by-step instructions on how to procure a warrant from a magistrate judge for trespass should a child attempt to enter onto the premises of a school without wearing a mask. So in other words, what they were basically attempting to do here was to transform children into criminals. They wanted to transform children into criminals for refusing to wear a mask, yet still trying to attend school, which at secondary level, high school level, is still compulsory or mandatory. Of course, this is the same sort of thing we've seen before with the left. They make it impossible. They make it to where you have to bend the knee and capitulate to their outlandish demands and their outrageous desires and designs. And yet at the same time, they will sit there and lie to our face and say that that's not what they are doing. It is insane. Thomas Clark is the security officer with the Loudon County School, who sent out these emails to school officials and personnel, instructing them on what to do, not only to tell children that they can't come in, but to get the warrant for trespass, but also to limit parental access to their children at the school, meaning that they would not be allowed onto the premises except by discretion and vetting through the school personnel, through the school administration, and therefore they could tell parents that, no, you can't see your child, and that they could treat the parent as attempting to come and get their child and to remove them from the premises as being criminal, as being disruptive. This is the sort of madness that got Terry McAuliffe voted out of the governorship in the state of Virginia, the Old Dominion state, in the first place. But the left, once again, failing to heed the pulse of the nation, the pulse of their constituency, has decided to double down on their wild take here, their wildly unpopular take here, and they did this for the express reason and design to maintain the power that they grabbed at the height of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that when they sit there and tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt and in no uncertain terms that you do not have the right to enter the premises to look after the well-being of your own child, they are not looking out for you. They don't care about you. They are there for the power. It's a manipulative game they're playing. And they are so haughty and arrogant about this that it makes them practically, not just practically despicable, they are the picture book definition of despicable. This is what the old Hillary adage of "it takes a village to raise a child" is all about, folks. This is the true design, the true intentions that the left has had for oh so long now. And no, it shows no signs of improving at any point in the foreseeable future. Yet, at the same time that this is happening, we have the school superintendent for Loudoun County, Scott Ziegler, come out and say that no, this isn't what's happening. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe these emails that have been put out to the public to see. It's just fear-mongering to say that. And we don't have the authority to do this. Well, that's not what anybody argued. You are going to law enforcement and telling them to do it once you get the magistrate's warrant, and that you do this upon the issuance of that warrant, and you say that it may take 24 hours, so then why would you be instructing the school's staff and personnel on how to restrict parents' access to the building? So that you can hold the child for 24 hours? Is that what it's coming down to? Because that is certainly the framework that seems to be there. That's certainly the impression that the posture that this school board and school district has assumed suggests to me. These are the sorts of things that inquiring minds would like to know, and we'd like to know it sooner rather than later, because you are playing with fire right now, and you haven't gotten it. That what you are doing is unacceptable and is not to be taken lightly. But that is the danger that we are facing right now, because we can see that they would lie directly to our face regarding this. The security official's email also instructed personnel, as I said, to access the parents' access to the school, to limit that access to the school buildings. And there's one thing that they said there, which this comes from a Washington Examiner article by Jeremiah Poff, where he quotes the officer who is named Thomas Clark, that's the security officer, who said that parents should only be admitted at your discretion. And here's where it gets ugly, where it gets real ugly. It says that parents should only be admitted at your discretion. He recommended that schools establish outdoor parental gathering areas so that they could hold you out there, I guess, for what? 24 hours? But here's the real clinger. While parents have certain educational rights, they, and then do not, in all caps, have the right to enter the school without proper vetting and permission. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell does that even mean? Because the parents should have absolute right to enter the premises for their child. The child does not belong to the school district. The child is the ward of the parents. Child is to be under the tutelage of the parents. And so that is well established legal precedents in the United States, but the Virginia school boards here, or the Loudon County School Board or School District, seems to fail to understand this. Well, it's not that they fail to understand it, it's that they are using that classic socialist tactic of redefining things, of essentially restacking the deck so that you are put in a perpetually disadvantageous position. And that is by design. That is exactly what they've been wanting to do this entire time, so that they can tell you how to live out the facets of your life. This arrogance, this untenable, unacceptable position is one that ought to have red-blooded American citizens boiling from coast to coast and border to border. Because what they are saying here is the same damn thing that Terry McAuliffe said that made him lose that special gubernatorial election. That you, as individual parents, you only have certain educational rights. But our rights, as the government, overtakes yours. This is the type of system that the frothing at the mouth leftists want us to have in America. This is the dystopian future that they are hoping to unfurl and unleash upon us right here and right now. And they don't give a damn about what we think. That has been made readily apparent. But here's where they're going to run into a snag. Parental rights have been well established for over 100 years in this country. The first case was Myers v. Nebraska, which basically stated that parents had the right to choose to educate their children as they saw fit. This was further supported by Pierce v. the Society of Sisters in 1925, where Oregon had a statute which is stated that students had to attend public school, essentially attempting to close out private or parochial schools. That was shot down. Parents have the right to make decisions in the best interest of their children. They are the paramount guardians of their children. This should not be up for interpretation. This is certainly not open for debate, yet that is the way the left is approaching this. They want you to have as little of a say over the education and the rearing and the upbringing of your children as possible. Because again, they think they know best. That is always the way it is. It's that same mentality as rules for thee, but not for me. Do as I say, but not as I do. And yet they have the haughty arrogance to sit there and lie about it, to lie to parents. Parents ought to rightly be upset about this. And thank God this is going to court again. The date has been set for this. And it's going to be, I believe, let's see, today is the 8th. I believe it's going to be on the 13th. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. I don't remember off the top of my head. But that, to me, is a very important development. because the courts are taking this seriously. Folks, the government is attempting to tell us that we do not have the ability to think or act or to work in the best interests of ourselves or our children, and that they are demanding that we bend the knee to their wicked designs and desires. That's not something I think we can afford to allow to happen. There is far too much at risk here. And for Ziegler to sit there and say that it's just fear-mongering to point these things out is just another example of how the government has attempted to use this pandemic to impermissibly expand their power. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves, where is it going to stop? When is it that the government has reached too far? Because under this administration, and under any place that is truly governed by the left, it seems that the individual has no say at all. They don't want us to have a say at all. And that is what their modus operandi and agenda has been for generation after successive generation. They are attempting to tell us that there is no other way except their way. It's their way or the damn highway. Well, who died and made them king? Because I don't remember that the Constitution has been swept aside. I don't remember there being an acceptance by the people of this new type of totalitarian regime. In fact, everywhere we look, it's being rejected time and time again. And this is why they're getting desperate. Because they feel as though they are a caged and cornered animal. And that is when an animal is at their most dangerous. Whenever they feel caged or cornered, they think that they have to strike out for the preservation of their life, for the sustenance of their existence. And that makes them wholly wild and unpredictable. And yes, they may be unpredictable. And yes, they may have their wanton designs and desires, but we have to stand together in solidarity and unity and say that enough is enough. These people do not get to tell us how to live the facets of our daily lives, and they damn sure don't get to tell us how to raise our children. But they think they do. That's exactly what they want to do. That's how they want it to play out. But that's not something that I'm ready to give them, and that shouldn't be something you're ready to give them either. Unfortunately, I fear these fights are only going to grow more intense as we draw ever closer to the looming midterm elections this November. They are desperate to maintain that power, that ill-begotten power that they have essentially granted to themselves without as much as a second thought. And if you say one word about it to them, oh, well, you are the problem. And yet, at the same time, they will continue to lie so long they believe it will allow them to maintain that power. This is clear, just by the tone and the demeanor that was assumed by the officials in Loudon County. Well, folks, this is exactly the reason why I have stressed so emphatically on these last several episodes that we pay attention, that we are proactive in this midterm election. Because the stakes are that great. They are that great. This is the greatest the stakes have been in a long time. Because they are not going to rest on this. They're not going to back down, not when they feel that they are this close to achieving their end goals. Not when they feel that they are rightly justified in this. And that's what Scott Ziegler and that's what Thomas Clark of the Loudon County School District are acting like. Well, let's show them just how wrong they are, folks. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to once again thank you for choosing to fly over the friendly airwaves with us here at the Wright Flyer. I hope to see you again the next time we set out. Please do. Take care. See you around.